Well, from monsters to, well, a moron? Is that being too rude? MPs are tonight deliberating Boris Johnson's political future. The Commons are debating the report that said the former PM lied repeatedly and deliberately to the Commons over Partygate. Well, his predecessor, Theresa May, has been sticking the boot firmly in tonight.
This committee report matters. This debate matters, and this vote matters. They matter because they strike at the heart of the bond of trust and respect between the public and Parliament that underpin the workings of this place and of our democracy. And I also say to members of my own party that it is doubly important for us to show that we are prepared to act when one of our own, however senior, is found wanting.
Well, hear, hear. I never thought I'd feel inspired by Theresa May, but I was today. She stood up for what Parliament should be. Well, joining me now is talk to TV's political editor, Kate McCann. So, Kate, that was a powerful speech.
It really was.
By Theresa May, and that was a leader speech. It does beg the question, where is the actual Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who seems to have done a sickie?
Yeah, I was in the Commons chamber for that speech, and it was a real moment. There was, complete silence. Labour, as much as the Conservative benches, were cheering on Theresa May in the way that MPs do. And I think the point that she made most clearly was that this is not about Boris Johnson now. This is about the fundamental way that Parliament works. It's about truth, it's about upholding it, and it's about accountability to the public. And so naturally, it follows, where is Rishi Sunak? Because for lots of MPs there on all sides, this is a man who came into Parliament promising integrity, promising to uphold those values, and this is an opportunity to prove that.
Why is he abstaining from this?
I think the politics of this were always going to be complicated for the Prime Minister. I mean, while a lot of Boris Johnson supporters have exited stage left, they've already gone, they have triggered by-elections, there is still a rump of the party who don't want to have that exposed, the row between the current and the former Prime Ministers. But it's actually quite difficult, really, to formulate a reason. It would have given him the opportunity to spring forward. The next election looks very complicated and difficult anyway, so what do you have to lose? I think the reality is he just didn't want that political argument.
Yeah, but you know what? If you're going to, I like Rishi Sunak, but if you're going to stand up for decency in public life, for standards, for ethics, as he has laid down his sort of flag, you've got to turn up for this, and you've got to actually say, yes, I am going to vote. I'm going to support the parliamentary process because I believe in its integrity. By abstaining, you're saying you don't really go along with it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what a lot of his own MPs are saying today. They are fed up of Boris Johnson, and they would have quite liked actually to be able to draw a line under it. And what you heard from Theresa May there was the fundamental point, which is that when it's one of our own, it's even more important to stand here and say...
Particularly, she said, if it's one at the top.
Yes.
And particularly where it's been a question of preaching one thing to the public and doing another.
Well, Harriet Harman said that if Boris Johnson hadn't been held to account by this committee, he would have contaminated, she used that language, the rest of government. And actually there was a real moment in the Commons today where Jacob Rees-Mogg stood up and said, well, hang on, Harriet Harman, you tweeted you'd already made your mind up about this committee before you even sat down. And she said, and it was, a Labour MP said mic drop moment, it really was. She said, well, actually, I went to the government and I said, I'll recuse myself if you're worried about that. And the government said no. It was the first time we've ever heard that. And it shows that she had the backing of those at the very top of Downing Street. They had no concerns. And I wonder whether that may play into this too, because the politics of whether Rishi Sunak wanted this committee to find against Boris Johnson is rumbling behind the scenes. Sadly, I think it comes down to the politics rather than actually the fundamental question of lying to Parliament and the integrity.
And we saw a video at the weekend of precisely what this is all about, which is a bunch of young Tories illegally partying in the middle of a lockdown. I'm going to debate that in a moment. But there, right there on video, was also the mindset, which is we better not stream this so people see that we're bending the rules. They knew what they were doing. Boris knew what they were all doing. And that's why it's so shameful. Kate, thank you. Appreciate it.